Am I audible over there? Yeah, fine. Welcome to CNCF Hyderabad. So this is the second session. So I will be talking on something called as GitOps with Kustomize. So far we started with the day like what is GitOps. So first of all, to clearize, GitOps is part of a DevOps. It's not something as a tool. It's a concept that you use to do your deployments on day-to-day basis. So the reason behind GitOps is very simple, right? So you want something called a source of truth. So someone asked a question regarding like we have DevOps, we have Terraform, and why GitOps? So what happens when you're on a DevOps side is you go and push your changes, you do a commit, and the deployment happens. That's the end of the story. Everything is fine, everyone is happy. What if someone comes and deletes a pod? What if someone comes and changes the drift or change the server instance type or anything on the AWS, right? So Terraform or any other cannot identify the drift unless you again try to push it, try to plan it, apply it, or try to go and check. So that's the difference you see in the concept of the DevOps and the GitOps. DevOps, automation concept where you do everything goes to production, but any changes in the production is not managed or not controlled by anyone. Right? I can go to a production instance and change something, it will be happen. I can go to a production instance and there is a secret in Kubernetes, I can delete it. Nothing will happen, the deleted secret will be deleted. When the GitOps comes, GitOps makes sure that whatever you have defined as a source of truth in the Git will always be deployed, and it will make sure that the desired state and the current state are equal. If I go into my Argo CD or even into Kubernetes and I delete a secret, my GitOps concepts or mechanism kicks in with something called as an operator or reconcile loop, and it makes sure that my desired state and current state are same at any given point of time. So that's what the GitOps is actually made up of. So just answering that question, so it makes sure that I have a desired state and current state at any given point of time. If you want to make any change, make change to the Git rather than making manual changes. So to start with the same, so we will be using, so GitOps is a concept, right, as a mechanism, right? So you can go with any of things. So what we are trying is, along with GitOps, there is a tool called as Kustomize, which is open source within the CNCF landscape, and we will be using, so it has been given support by Kubernetes also, like using the Kubernetes native itself, you can start using your day-to-day activities and automations. A small intro. So myself, Raghu, I'm working as a staff platform engineer for a company called as Zscaler. I do have few certifications, and majorly my day-to-day activities involves around Kubernetes, Kustomize, Helm, Terraform, or managing the AWS infrastructure, as well as some compliance part for the FedRAMP and stuff related to my company organization. I do have experience in the designing and making sure a zero-touch deployment happens. So we have a demo which we will try to kind of a zero touch only with the GitOps, but there are few things which can be automated, but just for the time and demo sake, we will go in that front. To start with, a basic table of content, what we will be doing is we will just go like what is Kustomize, what is GitOps, and GitOps, what the concept, and for GitOps to using that, we will go with something as a tool. There are Flux CD as well as, so we will be going with Argo CD, easy to set up for me. Then we will go with the live demo, and last we'll have some Q&As. First thing is a Kustomize. I just try to increase the fonts, but is it visible? Yeah, but I will cover those particular points. So basically what is Kustomize? Like a lot of people, Atul, I am missing, he had a question. So he is not able to, like difference between Kustomize and Helm. So I say both goes into your production. So both works fine, smooth and everything. Consider this as a very simple, right? So Helm is a bit complicated, Kustomize is a simple tool. With Helm, you need to do the templatization. So what it means is like, whatever you want to do, you do in a curly brackets, define it as a parameter, you take it from a value files and you try to deploy it. With Kustomize, what I do is templating with just an YAML file. I take a base YAML file, I push it there or keep it there. If I want it, I will just deploy my base YAML. If not, if there is an environment specific changes, I will just create an overlay and patch it. That's the only simplest tool that you use. So use cases are very different. So if you say like, I want to use Helm or Kustomize, if you have a heavy enterprise applications deploying like complex design structure you can go with Helm. If you say like, I don't have a complex design, I have a tool called Grafana for the demo purpose. I just want Grafana to be deployed in multiple environments. And I know what is my configuration. There are few configurations that changes environment specific. So I will go with Kustomize. So this goes hand on hand. So the current project that which I am working for my company, it has a combination of Argo, Kustomize and Helm. So we use Helm as well as Kustomize along with Argo. So 3 comes handy, but based upon your requirements, you either go with Helm or either go with Kustomize. So Kustomize is a tool for customizing Kubernetes without templating. So you say like for Helm, you have something and you just pass the values in values.yaml. So you're kind of doing a variables, passing it and making runtime changes. Programmatic changes I can say for an example, but with Kustomize you cannot do anything. You just have to define what you want. So that's the thing. So how it works, Kustomize lets you patch the overlays using the base. So always there is a base folder. On base, you can use the same base as you want, or else you can create your own patches. We will go through the demo, you will understand better. Instead of Helm values, Kustomize overlay and patches for different environments, and Kustomize inbuilt with kubectl. So with previous few versions, so previously you have to Kustomize separately install, but right now it's not required. Along with your kubectl, it works. Why? So no templating headache, that's a major advantage for me. Reusability, kube generation, debugging is usually, and majorly is Kubernetes native configuration. No need to maintain multiple YAML files for dev, staging, prod. So you need to maintain, but only if you have a patches. Otherwise you don't need to maintain anything. Works great with GitOps and everything. So Kustomize is nothing, just imagine we went to a pizza store, like you have a pizza. So base is there. Now what you want, someone might have a cheese, like cheese topping, someone want tomato, something like toppings. So you just add toppings on that, you have a base ready, you just use that and deliver whatever the pizza that you are looking for. GitOps, very simple managing Kubernetes with Git. Right, so if you so far my experience, I have been using the Argo or Gits to manage the Kubernetes ecosystem itself. I haven't went outside or try to manage a monolithic or kind of service. So Git goes, or GitOps concept goes majorly with the Kubernetes ecosystem, like with a single source of truth. I am least bothered. So you have something in local, someone has something. So my source of truth is always Git, and the GitOps always make sure that your source of truth is always deployed into your respective environments. So how it works is very simple. I have a repo in my Git. It might be Bitbucket, GitHub, anywhere. Just a repo. Developers push their changes to that repo. That's it, end of the story. They don't have to come and see whether the deployment, or they don't need to run the kubectl, apply, patch and everything. They just push their changes to the repo. That's end of the story. Now comes the automation or the GitOps concept, which is whatever the GitOps tool that you use, it will pick that particular changes and does the deployment into your Kubernetes cluster. You can do to multiple Kubernetes cluster, multiple namespace, things go on. Automatic syncs changes to the Kubernetes, and the last one is profit. So when I say profit is from a developer point of view, my day to day, I wanted to implement a tool called OpenCause. What I did is I just used my template, pushed it, and went for a coffee. When I came back, that particular deployment was successful. That's it. So you don't have to bother about doing debugging and everything. No more kubectl apply, that's a nightmare. That's what I have. Version control saves your sanity, continuous deploying without human intervention. This is the major advantage that you achieve with your GitOps to your Kubernetes ecosystem or the CNCF ecosystem, that no manual intervention. The Git is the source of truth. You push to Git, rest everything will be taken care. GitOps is a personal assistance for, so I use Argo on day to day, so I know how it full just things. So I just do the deployment and I go, and by the time I come, things are deployed. If it's breaking, it's fine, but no manual interventions. Everything it goes to the concept of GitOps. So for that, so GitOps wise, so just for the time's sake, we will just moving. So same topic only, but we are going with something called as Argo CD plus Kustomize, the dream. So GitOps wise, I'm going with a tool called Argo CD. So the GitOps concept itself came from a company called Waveworks. Unfortunately, it got closed. But 2017 in the year or 18, the term called as a GitOps. From there, it got started, and now eventually it became an industry buzzword. So GitOps tool that watches your Git repo and sync changes to your Kubernetes cluster. So that's a part of Argo, what it does. It just looks for the whatever changes present in the Git, picks it and deploys to the cluster. It's native support for Kustomize, automate the deployment process. It also provides a web UI. I will show you where you can just go and look into your deployments, manually, also sync manually, or you can also try to delete it, see what happens. Argo CD with Kustomize, you define an app once and it adapts across environment. So one more thing, so Argo is again a free source tool. So like it's developed by a company called Intuit, and it's an open source tool. You can just use it for that. So this is how it will look, a very high level, I can say system design for your GitOps concept. So there are two things. The first thing is a developer who will push the code to the Git. Your CI will kick in. So when I say CI, it's not the Argo CD. It's your Jenkins or anything, right? So it will kick in and it will create your container image as part of your CI, and it will get pushed to your image registry. It might be a Docker, Harbor, or it can be an AWS, ECR, or anything. So that's one part of your CI. Now we are going to the CD part. Now what happens in the CD? So I have pushed an image and I say like I want to do a deployment. The same developer will push the changes to, using Kustomize, will push the changes to the Git, stating that, okay, I have a version of Grafana. I made this change, or I made the version change of my Envoy or of my Java application. The version number is changed, updated. I push the change. The changes are pushed to the Git, and Argo uses a pull changes concept, like pull it. So whatever the changes are there, it has an interval of 3 minutes. So sometime you might see in a demo or somewhere you also do an hands-on and say like I'm implementing and changes are not getting picked up because there is something called the reconcile timeout, which is default by 3 minutes. So you can make it change, but I'm just saying for your POC purpose, give a patient of 3 minutes. So it will pull the changes and it will deploy the changes to your cluster. There is a timeout of 3 minutes or a time interval of 3 minutes to pull the changes. But once the changes are pushed to your cluster, any change or drift that you make, those are instantly reverted back. So that particular is continuously, that doesn't have, you can increase the timeout over there, but it's very instant. So this is how it will, your entire, not an architecture, but your ecosystem will look like. So you have your own CI repo or CI models, as will for the CD, we will be using Argo as well as this part. So that's it. So just a small pointer I have taken from my resume, which says like using the GitOps and Argo CD, we were able to achieve 60% of faster deployments. Yeah, that's a fact. 30% reduced downtime, 25% improved team visibility. Everything is achieved. That's the number that we are seeing. Not as a team or my company, myself, I am seeing that. Rapid adoption across 5 environments. So the last one I will emphasize why I'm saying like streaming delivery enabling rapid adoption, right? So I will show you a repo right now, which will have 2 environments called dev and staging, right? So only 2 environments. Now there is one more environment that came in. I said like alpha. Now how much time does I need to spin my entire tools, Jenkins, Grafana, Loki, Reddy, Victoria Matrix, Operator, or the Prometheus, you name it, open cost, right? All these tools for me, it's just a fraction of a second of copy paste of my Kustomize, push it to the Git, and Kubernetes, or sorry, Argo will take care of it. So that's the streamline, or that's the velocity you will give to your developers or the product team to go with your day-to-day activities. Okay, sorry. Demo, we will try to see a small demo for this. So it's visible. Better now, right? So what I have is something called as a folder, which is before 2 apps, we will go with Grafana. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to deploy an application called Grafana. So I have already deployed Grafana Operator. So Operator is a concept in the Kubernetes where I deploy the CRDs already, and using the CR custom resource, I'm deploying my Grafana. You can use your Helm chart or anything just for demo purpose. Operators are already deployed. Even the Prometheus operator is already deployed. We are just trying to create a small Grafana instance. So what I have is a base, which is clearly says grafana.yaml. And this is a custom resource, which is kind of Grafana. And I have just declared this is what I want to deploy. So it can be a pod, it can be a deployment, it can be a service account, it can be a secret, it can be anything. It should be a Kubernetes or Kubernetes object to be precise. I have defined something. I'm saying if you look at this particular line number 7, it says the namespace is Grafana. And even the label dashboard, it is Grafana, right? So what I'm trying to show is like I created a base for me. I'm being a platform side. What I do is I create this base and push it to the repo. And I ask my developers, like going forward for the velocity, I ask them, go ahead and deploy Grafana in your respective environments. Like that's the base template I have given for them. Now this goes like might be a thousands of line. No need to worry. Base is ready. I have given to them. I said, now start your development. But if you look at the namespace, it is Grafana. It's very generic, right? If I do a deployment in my development environment with a development cluster with a namespace of Grafana, and some other environment or staging, so both will have a conflict because the namespace is Grafana and two instances are getting deployed. So how do I achieve that? So before that, if there is a small file called Kustomize. So this is how you write it. It's very simple. At the top 2 lines, which is a API version and kind you mention, and at the bottom you just mention the resource and the file of that particular. So if I look at, it's nothing but my grafana.yaml. So this is base. So what I am doing is I will increase the font. Right, so I will show you some, yes. So I have these 2 commands which are handy, or I can even zoom it. Fine. The command is very simple. It's customize build. So what happens when you do a customize build? It will give the entire templating or a Kubernetes manifest. If it's if you are using an Helm template along with customize, you need to put an option called as customize build -- enable Helm. And after that, what I'm doing is I'm justly whatever the output comes, I'm just redirecting it to a file called test.yaml, and we will just open it with the VS Code. So right now I am in a folder of Grafana base, which we were talking, Grafana base. I will do customize build Helm template and just a alias I am using. So if you look, you will get everything as it is. Right? There is no change. So what I did is I did a customized build. It will give me the same output which was there. Now if I do a same thing, I will go back and I will say overlays and let's go to dev. Right? So I do a customize same command. You will see a difference in the output. So can you just see the namespace? So initially I given Grafana as a default or a generic namespace to all the users and said use, but developer came and says, for dev we want a development namespace, for staging we want a staging namespace, and even for the dashboard if you look, right, so it says dev-grafana and even the name is dev-grafana. So what happened is I have a base template which was very good for me, but I want to make sure that it supports my overlay concept. So what I have done in my dev, there is an overlay folder of dev, and within dev I have something called as customize. Right? If I open this, what I am basically telling the users is I have a customize and what are the resource. In the previous one you were saying the resource was -grafana.yaml. Right? Over here I am telling go to a specific folder like 2 folders back and there is a base which is nothing but my Grafana, deploy that. So if I just commit it out the patch section, right, so like this way, so what it will happen is it will deploy the Grafana base content as it is. Now what I am doing on top of is using the customized concepts of something called as patches. So in patch I specifically told a target is nothing but what you want to change. Like there will be a lot of targets. For example, you have deployment, replica, service, secrets and everything. So I am telling go for a kind which is Grafana and the name will be Grafana and it will be the namespace. So this is kind of a selector. So all these 3 will go handy. You need to have this, so it will go into a selector in the entire manifest. It will look for a kind Grafana, namespace Grafana, and that it will perform an operation called patch. Within patch there are replace, add, etc. So I am going with a patch of operation replace. Wherever you see a metadata name, change it to dev Grafana. Wherever you see a metadata namespace, which was development, which was Grafana, change it to development. Wherever you see labels dashboard, which was Grafana, change it to dev.grafana. So I am doing nothing, just doing a patches on my base. So that's how customize works. So any doubts on this particular part? Go ahead.
So what is the, I'm just trying to understand, in which
we have. Everything is fine. Basic intro to the Kustomize, how it works, and we will be trying to use the same with the Argo CD. Now, same concept of Kustomize I am also using to deploy my Argo applications. So I'm just opening a folder called, I'll go with overlay directly, and I will say within dev, I have something called as an application. So Argo is just a concept of, within Argo there is objects of application, application set, etc. So I have an application which clearly says like Grafana, Argo City, in cluster, development is my namespace, default. So this is the application definition of the Argo. We are not going into how Argo works, but if I'll show you the base, so this is my Grafana base. So what I did is I created application in my base, and even that Argo application I am patching using my Kustomize on my overlays. So I haven't specified the sync policy over here, right? I have specified the sync policy over here, but if I go to my overlay, I haven't specified anything because I just want to make changes to this particular changes or basically patch it. That's the only thing. And very simple is Kustomize, and with Kustomize there is a already defined concept of name prefix, which I am using, like whatever resource that gets deployed with this application will have a dev hyphen as a prefix, just to for a demo purpose make it clear. And patch strategy, I am telling that, okay, you take the base, but on top of the base, you apply this grafana.ml as a patch. The same patch which I showed you right over there, but I am, instead of all those particular operations, I am directly saying use the file. You can do it both the way, depending upon the operation requirement. So this is there. So I'm using the app, so I have a dev, I have a staging, right? I have two applications, one is dev, one is staging. What I need to do is, I need to just deploy them. So for that, what I did is, I created one more file, customization. No, I'm going into deep complex concept. So what I'm doing is, I already have a base, which I'm using to deploy my dev and staging, right? But again, I need to run this dev and staging, kubectl apply. I said I don't want to do it. What I'm doing is, I'm using these two and created one more file, which is nothing but a Kustomize. I'm saying, go to overlay dev and go to overlay staging, where whatever the customization is defined, you deploy that. Now, one question everyone might ask, why don't you also create something which can deploy this file? Now, one more question is, why can't, so again, I need to create a file that will deploy this file. For that file, again, I need to create one more file. So there is always an app of concept. The first app is always need to be created manually or either in a different automation. So I'm hoping. So first one is always something that's a critical. So you can achieve that application creation, the first one, using Terraform. Use Terraform to deploy your EKS resources, EKS cluster. In that, there is a resource of Argo application in Terraform. Use it to create the first application. You have a zero-touch environment. So using Terraform, you have everything deployed. First application is ready. That application will use this particular file, which is nothing but a root app.ml, which I kept outside of my repo. So here I'm specifically telling go to path. So if you look at this particular, right? So this is where I told go to that repo, go to the path. And if I go to that path, it says within apps, it's a Kustomize. And within Kustomize, what I'm saying is go to overlay and go to dev. So I'm going to dev, and what I'm saying is just now go to base and pick the Grafana whatever. So it's concept called as app of apps. And now Kustomize along with Argo helps me to achieve this particular of complexity. Initial setup is complex, I agree, like having this particular structure. But the advantage that I get right now is, I will show you, this is my Argo, right? Can you see? Okay, Argo CD is there, nothing deployed. I deployed this particular cluster using this already AWS CLI commands created by ChatGPT. I created a cluster, it's very small, a cluster, then a EKS config I took it, namespace created. This is how I deployed my Argo CD, a simple YAML file. Then I patched my load balancer to be a publicly exposed, and I just using that service to come out of it and access it. So that's it. So already deployed an Argo. If you see at this point, there is nothing deployed. What I am going to do is, I will go to my root. Atul, I will take 5 more minutes. Sure. So I will say kubectl apply -f and root app ml. So again, before deploying, I will show you what this root ml file is. It's just an application which will create something from a GitOps concept, which is go to this repo, and within this repo, go to this folder, and this folder, whatever is present in Kustomize, try to deploy that. So I will say, let's do apply. Something got created. This is how it will look. I'm not sure it's visible. So just few seconds back, you don't have anything. Right now, I have 3 apps. If I go with this first particular root app, so you see this root app which got created, right? I mentioned go to overlay dev and go to overlay staging. It will created dev-grafana. It also created stage-grafana. So our app created another 2 apps using the Kustomize. If I go and open this dev Grafana as an application itself, it will open my entire application and it will show me what it is deployed. So you can see, I think you cannot see, but this is how it will look. So it will have Grafana which deployed all my resources and everything. And for the demo purpose, what I will do is, there is a service account. I'm doing it for first time in the demo. I'm trying to delete it. I'm getting a confirmation and just go ahead and delete it. A service account got deleted. And if you look at the status of the sync above, it's not there. I will just try to do a sync, and let's do a sync for this. Zoom it. Yeah, it already came. Okay, let me show you. So there is a config map at the top. I just deleted, but the moment I delete, it will come back again. So even if you see like it's just a few seconds, so that's the GitOps concept itself. You just try to go and delete something as a service. I will just try it and delete it. I will just do a sync just to make sure. Yeah, service it's there. So GitOps makes sure, so there is something called as a reconcile loop that runs in the Kubernetes. The concept of reconcile in Kubernetes is anything that you deploy, even for example replicas, right? So the Kubernetes controller itself, there is something you sell 3 replicas. So how do Kubernetes make sure that you have 3 replicas using the reconcile loop? So something you defined as a 3, it goes to the etcd, it stores the value over there. Now the reconcile loop of your operator makes sure that whatever is present in your etcd as a source of truth or the desired state matches your current state. So GitOps makes sure that it achieves those functionality, and what we did was we used Kustomize to deploy these particular changes. A small change last that I will just quickly show. Grafana overlay staging. So in the patch, so what I have is this staging-grafana. I can simply, okay, I'm just copying a new file. So someone came and asked that there is a dashboard that I want to deploy across all the environments. So this is the dashboard, K8 dashboard. It will not work, but Kustomize will work. So I'm just going to Grafana and paste it. Is there, and go to Kustomize and say, this is a new resource that I want to deploy. I'm putting it in the base. What happened if I put it in a base? All the environments which are on the overlay will inherit it. If you want to do a patch, go to your overlay patch and just make the changes that you require and it will work. And that's it, K8 dashboard. So git add. Okay, I pushed the changes for time saving. If you look at the commit, so I just committed and the commit ID starts with 4B. Can you look at that? The previous one is 3.7 and the current one is 4b. If I go with this one, you can see this particular commit ID is 3.7. I'm not sure, but this is the 3.7. So automatically after 3 minutes, the sync will happen. But for demo purpose, I will just do a sync directly. Something failed. That's fine. Okay, some issue with that particular customize, but it's how it will go and pick that particular changes and will deploy. Now, Argo GitOps, I said like git right. So what it happens? So I can just go and here and say history and rollback. I can simply go over because this was my blocking. I will just do a rollback here. I said something broke. I'm not sure what happened. When auto sync is enabled, okay, we'll go with something. So this is the option. I can just disable it. No, I just disabled it, history, go back here and do a rollback. Okay. So this is a problem with the root of apps where you need to make sure your primary root is also auto disabled. Yeah, that's it. So primary you need to disable, but I got some issue in my Grafana. What I did is I just went back to my previous commit. I went to the rollback and make sure that it went to the previous one. So that's how GitOps helps you, but make sure that your auto sync is disabled because the concept of GitOps itself is like whatever is present in the Git, I will try to deploy it. So I just disable the auto sync and this is how it will work. That's it from my side. So you can use combination of Kustomize, Helm also. If you are looking anyone on this particular, I can help you. We are working on a project which has Helm, Kustomize and everything. So we use Helm of the Victoria metrics Helm charts as well as Kustomize to patch it across environments for the metrics graph. So that was the demo. And last thing from my side, any questions or anything we can. So we'll take 1 or 2 for the time constraint. Rest we can offline connect and discuss.